Who are we to challenge them in any way? We should be so lucky to get whatever they want because they're the bosses. And I keep pointing up to them that that kind of business practice is unsustainable nowadays. They had given us a proposal package. We worked for like 36 hours on it. We brought it back to them. We walked them through it and they left and then called a few hours later and said, we're breaking negotiations. So it's not only baffling, but wholly disappointing and counterproductive. I've never really met people that actually don't understand what negotiations mean. You know, I mean, why are you walking away from the table? To what end do you hope that that will accomplish anything? And actually, my members are more pumped up than ever. They feel so insulted by this, so degraded by this, and dishonored by this, that it's like, Fran, do not cave. You know, remain strong, hold on to your resolve, because this can't be for nothing. We have been waiting for this contract for literally years. And this is our moment of truth. We must get compensation out of another place. We can no longer continue to work with the old residual model on streaming platform because the majority of my members, unfortunately, can't make a living there. We're stuck in a vacuum-packed box and there's just no way to do it. They have to see that this new model requires a new form of payment stream. The Writers Guild also, they broke negotiations with that too. So, you know, now that it's been agreed upon a contract, everybody's all warm and fuzzy. But at the time, I think it was very contentious. They don't like to give away ice in winter. So I've never really dealt with this kind of affront of indignation and a need to get their own way. I think that they're very used to getting their own way. I think that the idea that we want to go into a pocket to compensate for the lack of income that we cannot get for our working members in a streaming model is just so repugnant to them. And they just feel like, who are we to want to get compensated the way we used to be? Who are we to think that we deserve to make an honest wage that meets inflation? Who are we to challenge them in any way? We should be so lucky to get whatever they want because they're the bosses. And I keep pointing up to them that that kind of business practice is unsustainable nowadays. It was maybe something that people bought into in the 20th century, but that dog eat dog, the bottom line is the bottom line, it just doesn't pan out. And we can't think that way anymore. You can't go into a whole new business and not question how this is going to impact the foundational contributors to your business. And that's exactly what they did. And now they're like annoyed at us for pointing out the problem. And it's really like an alternate universe. I can't even believe it. And I keep trying to put it into a global context that they have a responsibility to workers. They're leaders in the industry. They should set the example for industries around the world. This is their opportunity as well to raise the bar on how employers deal with workers, how they thank them, how they include them, how they treat them like people. And all they keep saying is how much money they already spend on talent, but they make a lot of product. So there is a lot of performers that are out there working. But if each one is only making a crumb, it's still a crumb. So what do they have? Thousands of people working like gig workers, and nobody is really making a living. They can't afford it. So, somewhere they have to find 57 cents a year out of each subscriber. It doesn't seem like it's a lot to ask. And this is the third version of trying to get them to wrap their mind around anything but an old business model, an old contract that was forged in 1960. Well, I think it's indicative of the fact that they stopped talking to us back on July 12th and didn't come back until 10 days ago or less. We've only met with them a couple of times. One Monday, a half a day Wednesday, a half a day Friday. That was what they were available for. Then this past week, it was Monday and a half a day on Wednesday, and then bye-bye. I don't even know what they're thinking, but I did say to them, with all due respect, we have been waiting for you to come back. We wanted to avert a strike. We extended an unprecedented extension, and we called them in the 11th hour. We went over the negotiator's head, and they said, no. So, they don't really want to negotiate. They just want us to like what they want us to like. They don't want us to have a mind. They don't want us to have a thought. They don't want us to have feelings or complain that we can't make a living and we can't support our families and we're having problems paying the rent. They don't want to hear about it because they keep giving us this huge inflated number of how much they're spending on production and how much they're paying out to our union in salary. But it's all divided up amongst so many thousands of people that it doesn't add up to anything, except for our highest paying earners, which I have zero problem with. And we're fighting for them as well with AI. They're very concerned about their likeness, their essence of being. The thing that makes them a star is going to be ripped off, going to be turned into something that's hardly even recognizable. Then go call City Hall. And the last thing, Ted said before walking out of the room was, and we're not happy with what you've come back with on AI either. And Duncan said, well, until you could be specific, that's not really helpful, Ted. And he said, well, I'm just letting you know. So, up and down the ladder, this contract is seminal and meaningful to everyone in our union. But we're not just in it for some people. We're really in it for all people. I am a very empathic person, and I wish they were a little more empathic too, because this industry could be a much more interconnected and homogenous industry where we're all in it together. And we can fade out some of this every 3 years negotiating if they would just let us in the other pocket. However we end up figuring out the mechanism or the money, we have to move there. And we have to get the compensation and the consent on AI. We have to get our minimum wage elevated so it can, at the very least, meet what is now inflation. Otherwise, they're still making less than what they made in 2020, and they will not budge on that number. And I don't really understand it. Are you trying to make a deal with us, or are you just trying to insult us and think that you can intimidate us. I had to come to the defense of Donna in the room because the three guys would not let her get a word in edgewise. And I'm like, the girl from Queens, she's not even on my team. And I said, wait a minute. I want to hear what Donna has to say because you guys aren't letting her speak. She's English. She's not a girl from Queens. So enough said from that. But from the table, I had to come to her defense. And at the end of the meeting, she thanked me because at the end of the day, we're sisters. Well, they called and said, we're walking away from we're breaking negotiations. And we're having while I'm talking to you, we're in the midst of a serious negotiating committee meeting. Everybody went out on the picket lines today. The resolve is very strong. So, I think that they think that we're going to cower, but that's never going to happen because this is a crossroads and we must stay on course. These people have a right to make a living, to keep the livelihood that they have been able to earn for years, to reach their threshold for getting medical coverage. All of it is in jeopardy if we stay with the current system of paying them on this new and unprecedented platform.